I don't know. Maybe we need some kind of, 1970s network TV action show tagline. Like, book 'em, Pika. Because, it's a show about books. That's just what we talk about. We talk about books all the time. We talk about comic books. Welcome back to the coffee table. It's the Comics Coffee Table here. And our it's 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and it's time for us to take a break from our day and to appreciate our escapism. And let's forget about our problems just for a few moments in our day. So pull up a chair, take a break, have a cuppa. Let me know whatever it is you're putting underneath your nose here. Ooh, this is great. It's good coffee, freshly brewed. This was roasted on about 2 weeks ago, and it's a medium roast. It's called a Kamsa. It's a toast, toffee, orange, and caramel notes. It was ground. The beans were ground seconds before I put the hot water on it. I love a good cuppa, and I hope you do too. I hope you love whatever it is that you're bringing. Pull up a chair. It's time to talk about comic books. We talk about comic books every day, and just for a couple of minutes in a day, and to remind ourselves of what we love and where we came from. We started this show last year. We had a good prop. We had a good inspiration for conversation. This book here, this Golden Age of DC Comics 365 Days book, we used it for its intended purpose. We opened it up to today's date, which is January the 16th. We looked at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We read the blurb, and then we talked about comic books. And so on this day, 1 year ago today, we made a 6 minute and 48 second long video that got 5 views, and I appreciate every one of those. Well, 4 views plus myself. We all do that. Trust me. I mean, but I think we do so much better now, and I think that we've got a real conversation going on. And it's wonderful. So what I'm going to do for at least the month of January is we're going to ditch this book eventually. But I wanted to review last year's page just real quick because we got a lot of newer viewers. So, and people new to the, plenty of room at the coffee table. Pull up a chair. I mean, yeah, it's a real table, a real coffee table. It really is. Well, the coffee table's out in the living room. This is... I mean, the studio here at our Boston studios, we do the best of what we can. Heck, you might even be driving in your car right now, listening to this in a podcast form. It's why I try to do more about the conversation than say like bringing up videos or pictures from other websites. Like if I would love to use StreamYards at its for its for its advantages, like the scrolling chyron and the background image and the this and that. I love how everyone's shows look. But, say if you're driving in a car, I don't want to distract you. Let's have a conversation instead. And, I like, but I do, and I will be putting a book in front of you too. So, we got that going for us as well. It is January the 16th, and hope that you're having a great day. I hope that you are clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. Seriously. It's that there's a point up here where you're like, you know what? Biff, you get your damn hands off of her. Do I have to swear? That's from Back to the Future. But stand up to your problems. Clobber your problems. Do not be clobbered by them if you can help it. And if you have to, roll with those punches. You know what I mean? Learn how to defend yourself. Stick and move, Pete. Stick and move. All right, this is pencils by Cliff Young, inks by Steve Brody from World's Finest Comics, issue number 10, summer of 1943. And I believe might have been the second overall kid sidekick in the nascent DC universe. It wasn't the DC universe back then, but it was just getting started. There was a big bang that happened. And Action Comics number 1 in 1938, when Superman fell from the skies. It created a big noise, right? Mort Weisinger, who became one of the most important editors at DC, jump-started his career in 1941 by creating 3 solid superheroes for the flagging More Fun Comics: Johnny Quick, Aquaman, and Green Arrow. More Fun did not last, but the characters did. They moved over to Adventure Comics, where they enjoyed a long run. In fact, all of them were still around 50 years later. And that's true. I mean, Johnny Quick, he might be dead in canon, but his daughter, Jessie Quick, is the inheritrix of his mantle and the Speed Force equation. It was just in the latest issue of Flash. We might even just take a peek at that. Take a peek at that, right? Take a peek. Aw. He talks to his stuffed animals. All of them were still around 50 years later. Green Arrow, seen here with his kid companion Speedy, had no powers except a talent for archery. Like most of their stories, his arrows had every kind of gimmick at the end, but never a sharp point. Here we go. We're swinging over a cage of lions. I mean, are those power lions? Is that safe? I mean, I hope those are rubber gloves. Rubber gloves? I barely know. Oh, waka waka. Oh, boy, oh, boy. And who's that over there? There's someone, there's someone by the door. I mean, has he been... And over here, we have a guy in a fedora hat. We know that's code. We know that's code. That's gangster. That's been coded. He's gangster coded. Yeah, we had to see this through the lens of back then. He's got the fedora hat. He's standing on the outside of the cage. So you actually, let's look at body language. All right, look at the guy in the background here. He looks scared, and the guy over here is holding the bars. Maybe he's a police officer. Yeah, maybe he's a detective, and he's rooting for Green Arrow and Speedy. See, we don't know. We don't know, do we? But we can. But that's part of the joy. Is making up those. Our brains do make up these details in between panels and things. We really do. It's just I love this old art. But yeah, so that was the subject that we had 1 year ago today. That was our page. And eventually we're going to stop using this book. I just wanted to seriously just recap last year and for newer viewers who like the format of the show and get a lot of good feedback about this book itself. This is a 2004 Abrams publication. You can find the link in the description to its Amazon page where you can get your own copy. I like to pimp that because, this will look great on your coffee table. You can play along at home. You can make your own show inspired by these conversations, inspire your own conversations. We proved a point. We talked about comic books every day, all year long. We are still going strong. This is it. I mean, this is great. Thank you so very much. You are the most important ingredient in this recipe. You guys showing up for this conversation. Thank you so much. So, it's about bagging, boarding, and boxing. And I'm starting with my 2022 funny books. This is the lid of my short box. Here. Oh, you struggled to pick that up. Yeah, oh, what? I'm a 50-year-old man out of shape, I guess. It's just like these things only get heavier from here on out. That's why I've gone from long box to short box. You know what I mean? Just make these things a bit more manageable. But what happened in 2022 was there was another DC crisis. The DC crisis goes way back to before 1985, 1986, when the Crisis on Infinite Earths happened. Before that, it was on Justice League of America. You'd have Crisis would be the crossover with the Justice Society of America, and then they would. And this is where multiverse began, and a lot of it had to do with DC buying the characters, IPs, and titles from other companies as time marched on, as companies folded. Charlton, Quality, Fawcett, Wildstorm too. Wildstorm didn't fold. Wildstorm just we're like, hey, DC offered us a whole shitload of money. Okay. Seriously. Jim Lee was a Marvel guy. Then they invented Image Comics. And then from Image Comics came all the workshops and all the studios. And Wildstorm Studios was Jim Lee's. And DC drove a dump truck full of money up to Jim Lee and said, hey, we want to buy your studio and make you an executive in DC Comics. And he's been, there ever since. And he's pretty much the masthead. He's Jim Lee could be DC's Stan Lee. I mean, there's a lot of people argue about his management style and how good DC Comics is. Is it right to blame him? He's really an artist. Is he a good, savvy businessman? Well, he's been in this publication industry for over 40 years. So, I mean, he's earned his spot, whether good or not. But also, I think he's great at he's Jim Mother Lee. That's he's one of the best artists for superhero comics ever. So, I mean, why would you want to get rid of him? I mean, yeah, you let the business people do the business, and business got a business. So, in 2022 came another crisis. Now I got all of these floppies to put into bags into boards. But what is a crisis? The crisis was in 1985 and 1986. Publishing felt that this multiverse thing is a bit too, inaccessible to new readers. Here, and so the multiverse was destroyed, and all of these previous and alternate versions, and everything was rebooted, and everyone got new origin stories and the such. In a way, some kept their original stories too, and just some had them majorly shifted. And the DC multiverse became one universe, one Earth, and one continuity. Sure, so it started this, for me, started this huge love of these crisis stories. This was great for its time. It's 12 issues, went a year long. Every single title in the DC universe tied into it somehow, and it had huge changes from here on out. And every once in a while, DC does go back and have another crisis. I mean, this ended in 86. So by 87, you have Legends. You have Flash Volume 2, number 1 comes out in 1987. You'll have the new Justice League and Justice League International by Jim DeMatteis, Giffen and Maguire, Keith Giffen and Kevin Maguire coming out right after Legends. That's 88. 80 and 89. We have Animal Man. We have Sandman, John Constantine Hellblazer, pre-Vertigo, all the Black Orchid. I mean, we have these. I think Black Orchid. I was never a fan of Black Orchid. I didn't read that. but all of those three titles will become Vertigo in 1993 when that becomes an imprint. Was it 92, 93, something like that. But so this ended in 86, 87, and that's when all the changes started happening. And then came an Animal Man, and Grant Morrison's Animal Man in 1989 and 1990, just a few years after Crisis on Infinite Earths, was still playing with it. And he has this great story called Second Crisis. And this is like one of the big meta, big-minded issues where Animal Man breaks the fourth wall, and he can a few times. I can see he like this isn't breaking the fourth wall, and understanding the shape of space time are his comic book pages. And by the end of it, he meets Grant Morrison, stepping out of the tale, and we call this. See, back in '89 and '90, this was new stuff. People weren't writing like this, but it has this. It has this story called Second Crisis, where all this leftover stuff from, Psycho Pirate, Earth 3's, just a Crime Syndicate of America. These people aren't supposed to exist anymore. Psycho Pirate died, and or allegedly died, and in Crisis. And then you have these alternates that aren't supposed to exist anymore. They have a place called Limbo where they go, and it's just really fascinating stuff. I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but yeah. So you have a Second Crisis in here, some kind of like mini sequel. There was also there was an issue of like the Tales from the DC Universe. I think it was issue 4 or so. It was, but it was done by Wolfman and Perez, and it fits in between two issues of this. It's this really nice tale. Then came Infinite Crisis in 2005. Then came Final Crisis in 2008. And before that came 0 Hour Crisis in Time in 1994. Then came Flashpoint in 2010, 2011. Came the New 52. Then in 2016 came DC Universe Rebirth. And then came, Dark Knight's Metal. Then Dark Knight's Death Metal. And Doomsday Clock. And then came, eventually, 2002's Dark Crisis. And I am a sucker for not just a crisis, but tie-ins. And I did a good job this year of not falling for tie-in books. Yeah, I mean, I got... a lot of the tie-ins, I hear people were not pleased with a few of the tie-ins. Wastes of money and waste of space. And, that's people's personal opinions. Sure. I mean, I haven't heard many voices that liked a few of those Dark Crisis tie-ins. But one tie-in that worked was Jeremy Adams' The Flash, which ended up... I was so psyched. I got this issue. I was missing this issue. So I already bagged and boarded this. I'm just going to double up. And, that's fine for now. I mean, remember, I'm just getting, restarted doing this. And then, of course, at the end of Dark Crisis, and this came just last Wednesday, okay? Brand new release. Okay, and now it's like one event after the other event. I mean, after the other event and after the other event. We just had Flashpoint Beyond, which was a 7-issue miniseries, which kind of tinkers with continuity, hypertime, omniverse, all of these weird, like everything matters, nothing matters. There's because at the end of this Dark Crisis here, the multiverse goes from we went from an infinite universe to infinite Earth to one Earth. Okay. By the time Infinite Crisis is over, we've gone from one Earth to 52. We find out that there are 52 Earths out there. And that's our local multiverse. And we find out that the multiverse is a little bit bigger than that and older than that. And there's an older multiverse. There's a dark multiverse where evil alternates lie. And that's where the Batman Who Laughs comes from, if you know about that. And you know, the Dark Knights. Like, there was like a different Batman alternate on every world, but each one, it was a Flash one. There was an Aquawoman one. There was a Cyborg one, and a Green Lantern one, the Dawnbreaker, and so on and so on. And so by the end of Dark Crisis, here's issue 2, and we need to get some boards and some bags for those. We need boards and bags for all of these. But see, we're gonna put the tie-ins together. So I only got the one tie-in. I heard the Dark Army tie-in was pretty fun, but I got the Flash by Jeremy Adams, which was the real best tie-in, and I'm just gonna stow them together like that. So there it's. Here we go. Issue 3, Part 3. Issue 4. Oh, good. I kind of did this already. All right. And these issues 5, 6, and 7. So by the end of issue 7, here I got the George Perez tribute cover, which is pretty darn good. It's awesome. This is a jam of all the best artists in DC history. You know, recent history, with the exception of one glaring omission. You know, and he got left out for reasons, and that's its own story. Yet by the end of this tale, the multiverse goes from 52 back to infinite. Yeah, so the rules of the DC universe are changing again, and that's why we have some another event right after this event. I'm gonna pass on this. I tried. You know, hey, we've got Mark Waid writing this. This is, you know, the art in it is pretty decent. It's supposed to be. There's a lot of magic going on, and I feel that the dark moodiness of this, it's like someone is trying to ape Fraser Irving, and then when they should have just paid for Fraser Irving, and you would have had, you know, it would have been just, you would have nailed it if you had Fraser Irving doing this. I would buy it just for Fraser Irving, to be honest. And but no, I'm not gonna bite on that. I'm glad I tried it. You know, it's but yeah, there's only so much I can, you know, there's only so much I'm gonna buy, seriously. And but yeah, so let's we're gonna start bagging and boarding these, and we're gonna file away all of our 2002 comics, and that's gonna quickly fill up a short box. Seriously, I mean, I had to buy 2 more short boxes, and that's just the start of it. It really is. So, thank you so very much for tuning in, and we have a great audience. It's good to see everyone out there. I do film these at. Here's something new. Flash fact. I shoot these ahead of time. I work Monday through Friday, and I have to be at work from 6 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern. So when I'm coming home from work, and I'm getting out of the subway, that's when I'm usually catching the live chat on my iPhone. And I'm always blessed to have kept. I'm so blessed to have found, you know, that people come to my own live chat, and that's we're continuing this conversation. It's really fun. So yeah, this is what we're doing. We're bagging, and we're boarding. We're gonna treat our comic books with respect, and that's that. Swack, sealed with a kiss. Aww. Mwah. Here we go, and this is how it's, and this is how we're gonna file it. Will I be filing this in the Crisis Long Box method? We'll come to that a little later, maybe tomorrow. Okay, thank you so very much for tuning in today. God bless, namaste, good luck, and we will see you again in those funny pages tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We just a couple of minutes a day talking about comic books. Tune in daily, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Come on by. There's room for everyone at our coffee table. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the Comics Coffee Table today. Cheers.